what are the kinetics and kinematics which are actually happening in our vertebral column. So today we are going to discuss about what are the muscles which are producing all these movements. So what are the muscles which are contributing to all of these muscles. So therefore we need to divide the entire vertebral column into upper cervical or upper thoracic region with the lumbar region. So we will be discussing it in next two classes. So first class is about what are the muscles in craniocervical or the upper thoracic region, and next class we will be discussing about what are the muscles in lower thoracic, lumbar and the sacral region. So the craniocervical and the upper thoracic region. The primary roles in the craniocervical and the upper thoracic regions are in the craniocervical region. The main function of the muscles is to hold the head in upright position against gravity. So the head is placed in the cervical spine. So the head has to be stabilized in an upright posture. So the stabilization of head in upright posture, which is against the gravity or the forces which is acting on head, is mainly done by the muscles of craniocervical region. The other function of craniocervical region muscles are to position the head in space in order to optimally position the sensory organs. So one of the main function in the head region is that we got many sensory organs in the head and head region. So we got our eyes, nose, tongue, mouth, ears. So all these are sensory organs. So whenever we attempt for any sensory stimuli, whenever we are looking for any sensory stimuli, the head has to be moved freely in the space. So the free movements of head in the space means in a normal situation is mainly done by the muscles which are surrounding the neck and the head region. So this is the second function in the cervicocranial region. So when we talk about cervicothoracic region, there also it got two functions. First is to position the head and neck in space. So the lower cervical or the thoracic region muscle is mainly to help the head and neck to maintain its proper position in space. And second one is to stabilize the head and neck to allow and produce movement of scapula. So the scapula, as we all know, the scapula is not a true joint which is getting joined with this thoracic cavity. So the scapula is mainly stabilized by the surrounding muscles. So whenever we need to have a proper scapular movement, the head and neck should be stabilized with the surrounding muscles. So all these muscles are basically designed to stabilize the head and neck and to allow scapular movement. So the muscles in cervical region also got its two functions, mainly to position the head and neck in space, and it also helps to stabilize the head and neck and to allow scapular movements. And as you can see in this picture, the line of gravity in the head is mainly passing in front or in anterior to the axis of rotation in the vertebrae. So this is the axis. So this is the axis. So the line of gravity in the head or the gravity acting in the head is anterior to this line of gravity. So because of this, there will be a combined pull which is produced by all the extensor muscles to maintain this normal upright posture. So this is the one of the function which all the muscles in the cervical regions are producing. The line of gravity in upright standing position passes anteriorly to the axis of rotation in the cervical region. So because of this, there will be a flexion moment, and this flexion moment is mainly resisted or neutralized by the posterior muscles along with all the ligamentous structures. So in the posterior surface we got all the ligaments and all those structures. So these are the posterior structures are the one which are mainly designed to resist this flexion moment in the cervical region, which is mainly caused by this anterior line of gravity. So when we talk about muscles in cervical region, we have to divide it into posterior segments, posterior muscles, anterior muscles, and the lateral muscles. So we will be looking in detail about all these muscles. So the first one is posterior muscles. So what are the muscles we have posterior to our cervical region? So to make it much more easier, we can divide the posterior muscles into posterior superficial muscles and posterior deep muscles. So the posterior superficial muscles are the muscles which are most superior, or which are placed immediately below to our skin. So the deep one are which are mainly surrounding our vertebral column. The trapezius is the most superficial muscle in the posterior. So this is your trapezius muscle. The trapezius is the most superficial muscle in the posterior region. Basically the trapezius span from the occiput to the lower lumbar spine, and it contains prominent tendinous region over the cervicothoracic junction. So this is the trapezius. The trapezius is getting originated from this occipital, and it mainly ends in the thoracic region. So it got all the tendinous region. It got a prominent tendinous region in between your cervical and thoracic region. And basically this trapezius is the muscle which is primarily acting on the shoulder joint, but when the upper extremity or the shoulder is in a resting posture, this trapezius can act in cervical movements. So when the upper extremities are fixed, the trapezius can produce extension of head and neck. So this is the primary function of trapezius in the cervical region. So if the upper extremities are in fixed posture, or the upper extremities are fixed, the trapezius can produce some amount of extension of the head and neck. Acting unilaterally, the trapezius can produce ipsilateral lateral flexion and contralaterally rotation of the head. So if we are looking into one side, that means when we look for the action of trapezius in one side, the trapezius can produce same side flexion, that means ipsilateral flexion, same side flexion, and contralateral rotation. So if we are talking about right side trapezius, this right side trapezius can produce a right side lateral flexion and left side rotation. So it will produce a unilateral lateral flexion or an ipsilateral lateral flexion and contralateral rotation. So opposite side of rotation and same side of lateral flexion can be produced by this trapezius muscle. And next one is levator scapula. So levator scapula is a muscle which is deep to the trapezius. From the root of spine of scapula, it runs superiorly, medially, and anteriorly to insert on the cervical process. So basically this levator scapula is a muscle which is originating from the spine of scapula, and it runs superiorly, means it goes upward and medially towards the spine, and anteriorly mainly to insert into the cervical transverse process. So all the cervical vertebrae got its transverse process. So this levator scapula is basically originating from the spinal scapula, and it is moving upward medially, that means towards the spine, and it is getting inserted to the transverse process. The levator scapula is a scapular elevator and downward rotator when the neck is stable. So as its name suggests, it's a levator scapula. So it basically helps to elevate the scapula, and also it is able to produce a downward rotation when the neck is in stable position. So this downward rotation of scapula and elevation of scapula is a basic function of levator scapula. And when the cervical regions are in a fixed posture, and if the scapula or the upper extremities is stabilized, it will produce ipsilateral lateral flexion and rotation of cervical spine. So that's the function of levator scapula when upper extremities are fixed. So in the fixed upper extremity, this levator scapula can produce ipsilateral lateral flexion and rotation. Ipsilateral means same side lateral flexion and same side rotation can be done by this levator scapula if the upper extremities are in a fixed state. If the cervical regions are in a fixed state, this levator scapula can produce elevation and downward rotation of scapula. The anterior inclination plays an important role in the mechanics of cervical spine. The levator scapula is optimally aligned to produce a posterior shear force. So as we said earlier, the line of gravity in the cervical region is actually passing anterior to the axis of rotation in the cervical region. So this is the line of gravity. So this line of gravity is actually passing anterior to the axis of rotation. So this can produce a anterior shear force in the cervical region. So because of this anterior line of gravity, it will produce a anterior shear force. This anterior shear force is resisted or counteracted by this levator scapula. So this levator scapula is basically produces a posterior shear force. So this posterior shear force will eliminate or resist this anterior shear force, which is mainly caused by line of gravity. So that is another function of levator scapula. So the levator scapula is able to produce a posterior shear force mainly to resist this anterior shear force, which is produced by the line of gravity. And next muscle is splenius capitis and splenius cervicis. So these two are muscles which is placed in deep to levator scapula. So these are the splenius capitis and splenius cervicis. So these two muscles are mainly placed deep to levator scapula. The splenius muscles are large, flat muscles which is running from spinous process of cervical and thoracic spine and the ligamentum nuchae to superior nuchal line and the master process and the cervical transverse process. So all this splenius muscle is getting originated from the spinous process of cervical and thoracic spine and also from the ligamentum nuchae to the superior nuchal line, and it is getting inserted to this superior nuchal line and the master process and the cervical transverse process. So this is somewhere you go to your master process. In the center we have this ligamentum nuchae. So this splenius capitis is getting originated from the transverse process of cervical and the thoracic region, and it is getting inserted on the master process in the occiput and in the nuchal line and the ligamentum nuchae. They produce extension when working bilaterally and ipsilateral rotation when working unilaterally. So the main function of the splenius capitis and cervicis is to produce cervical extension when both the sides are working together, and it will produce a same side rotation when it works on a single side. So if it is working on lateral side, it will produce lateral side rotation. If both the muscles are working together, it can produce extension of cervical spine. Next one is the semispinalis capitis and semispinalis cervix muscles, so which are much more deeper to this splenius group. So first, supermost we got trapezius, Below to that, we got levator scapula. Below to levator scapula, we have the splenius capitis and splenius cervix. And below to this splenic group, we got semispinalis capitis and semispinalis cervix. So these muscles have the most optimal line of pull and large momentum to produce extension of head and neck and increase in cervical lordosis. So these semispinalis are the muscle which is basically designed to produce a much more extension in the cervical region and also to maintain normal lordotic care in the cervical region. They run from the occiput to the cervical spinous process and the spinous process of thoracic region and the transverse process of thoracic region. So this semispinalis capitis is basically run from the occiput to the cervical spinous process, and the semispinalis cervicis is basically run from this occiput to the transverse process of to the cervical spinous process. So this is the semispinalis muscle, so which is basically getting originated from this occiput and it runs down and it runs down and it is getting inserted to the spinous process or the transverse process of cervical and the thoracic region. Next is the longissimus capitis and longissimus cervicis. These are deep and lateral to the semispinalis group. So down to this semispinalis group, we got this longissimus group of muscles, that is longissimus capitis and longissimus cervix. Their deep position places them close to the axis of rotation for flexion and extension and rendering them ineffective extensor because of this small momentum. So these two muscles are basically getting attached to the vertebral body. So, or these two muscles are much more placed together with the body of vertebral bodies in cervical region. So because of this, it got only small amount of momentum, and because of this small momentum, it is ineffective to produce any kind of flexion or extensor movement. But the lateral position allows them to produce ipsilateral lateral flexion when working unilaterally, and when working bilaterally, they serve as frontal plane stabilizers of cervical spine. So in the lateral side, the muscles, the longissimus muscle which is present in the lateral side can actually produce some amount of same side lateral flexion, and the anterior, or if both the muscles are working together, they can act as a stabilizing muscles of anterior region or the frontal stabilizers of cervical region. And we got some small muscles which are present in the cervical region. Those are the suboccipital muscles, which are deepest to the posterior muscles, which are the deepest posterior muscles and consist of rectus capitis, posterior, minor and major, inferior oblique and superior oblique muscles. As a group, they run between occiput and C2, allowing independent movement of craniovertebral region on the lower cervical spine. So these are the small muscles which are present, which are deeper to this longissimus group of muscles. So basically these are suboccipital muscle, that rectus capitis, posterior rectus capitis, which got minor and major, inferior oblique and superior oblique muscles. Together they produce occipital extension. Unilaterally they produce ipsilateral rotation and lateral flexion. So these are small muscles which is basically run in between C2 and the occiput. Because of this orientation, it can produce some amount of occipital extension, and it is also produce ipsilateral rotation and lateral flexion. So ipsilateral rotation means same side rotation and same side lateral flexion. And next we got lateral group of muscles. So now we discussed about posterior group of muscles. Next we will be discussing about what are the lateral group of muscles. The scalenary muscles are located on the lateral aspect of the cervical spine and serves as a frontal plane stabilizers along with the longissimus muscles, posteriorly when they are acting as a group. So basically these scalene muscles are the one which is placed in the lateral aspect. In the sagittal plane, the anterior scalene muscles which run from the first rib to the anterior tubercle of transverse process of C3 to C6 work with elevator scapula to provide stability. So the main function of anterior scalene muscle is to provide stability along with this levator scapula. And the anterior scalene muscles, when working bilaterally, will flex the cervical spine and produce anterior shear force. So if both right and left anterior scalene muscles are working together, it can produce cervical flexion and it can produce some anterior shear force. And if it is working in one side, this scalene muscles will produce ipsilateral lateral flexion and contralateral rotation to the cervical spine. So if the muscles are working on one side, it can produce. So the middle scalene muscles are more laterally placed than are the anterior scalene muscles, and the line of pull makes them excellent frontal plane stabilizers. The posterior scalene muscles run from the second rib to the posterior tubercles of transverse process of C3 to C7, and the posterior scalene muscles are predominantly laterally flexed the neck. So this is the arrangement of scalene muscles. So we got three scalene muscles, anterior, middle, and posterior. All three got its own functions. And the other main lateral group of muscle is the sternocleidomastoid mastoid muscles, which is run from the sternum, distal clavicle, and the acromion to the mastoid process. And it acting unilaterally, the sternocleidomastoid mastoid muscles will produce ipsilateral lateral flexion and contralateral rotation of neck. So this sternocleidomastoid will also helps to produce same side lateral flexion and opposite side rotation. Next is anterior muscles. So what are the anterior muscles? So the longest capitis run from the anterior tubercles of cervical transverse process to the occiput. The longest colli run from the thoracic vertebral bodies to the anterior tubercles of cervical transverse process, and cranially from anterior tubercles of the transverse process to atlas. Both work in synergy with the trapezius to stabilize the head and neck to allow trapezius upward and rotation of scapula. So basically in anterior we got only two muscles, longissimus capitis and longus colli. So both these muscles are mainly to stabilize the head and neck and to allow scapular movement with the help of trapezius.